Welcome back to Dinar Trend Tracker channel. Just what did I see? Word on the street is that Wells Fargo and Chase are displaying Iraqi Dinar conversion rates of 530 and Vietnamese dong rates of 395. A huge monetary event would be represented by these figures if they were true. The savings, investments, and financial plans of millions of people throughout the globe could be impacted by this potentially seismic change in the global currency markets. You can feel the enthusiasm on the internet. Amid an overwhelming amount of online content speculating about potential record-breaking profits, videos, blogs, and forum discussions. People who have been keeping an eye on the Iraqi dinar and other developing currencies for a long time naturally get excited and speculate when they hear figures like these. Naturally, everyone is hoping for a big revaluation that will put a lot more money in their pocket. On the other hand, doubts arise due to the reported rate's enormous size. Due to the fact that large-scale changes in currency virtually never occur unexpectedly, and nearly never in the absence of affirmation from reputable financial organizations, worldwide bank statements, or official government pronouncements, because misinformation travels fast on the internet, especially when it offers huge financial benefits, it is crucial to keep cool, be patient, and think critically in these kinds of situations. In today's piece, we'll take a close look at the statistics, the reasons these rumors may be catching on, and what's really going on, giving you an accurate depiction of what is actual and what is just hypothetical. I'll begin with the most basic inquiry. Do these published bank rates actually exist? In the world of finance, precision is paramount, making this the very first and most important stage. The Iraqi dinar and other foreign currencies have been the subject of numerous purported leaks over the years, with some making exaggerated claims in an effort to generate excitement. It now appears that some of these were totally made up, while others were just misunderstandings of real facts. Here, what seem like screenshots from inside banks show the Iraqi dinar valued at $530 USD and the Vietnamese dong at $395 USD. At first look, these graphics may seem convincing, but keep in mind that anyone with basic graphic editing skills may alter images of internal systems, internet dashboards, or bank terminal. With these tools, even someone with little technical abilities may make photos that look completely real, add numbers on top of other images, and design realistic interfaces. The failure to verify information with other credible sources might deceive even the most seasoned investors. In addition, to keep the market stable and prevent misinformation, financial companies like Wells Fargo and Chase have rigorous compliance processes and internal controls. Scratched screenshots wouldn't be evidence of such drastic reassessments if they were accompanying these would be formal announcements, news releases, and coverage in the media. Maintaining financial stability and avoiding needless fear or false expectations requires viewers and investors to understand this background in order to distinguish between credible news and speculation. Pictures purporting to be bank internal displays have gone viral. These pictures typically show what bank clients and workers would recognize as interface layouts, complete with rows of currency pairs, numerical values, and tiny icons. Because even a small alteration to the typeface or layout can make these pictures look real to the untrained eye, their authenticity is misleading. Social media, video content, and online forums fuel the ability to produce plausible faked images, which is popular among people seeking hits, views, or interaction. Assuming the claimed dong and dinar rates are accurate, there would be enormous inflows of capital. Currencies do not suddenly appreciate by tens of thousands of %, as we can see from past financial events. To avoid hyperinflation or sudden, unsettling rises in prices, financial authorities and central banks enact policies aimed at currency stabilization. Furthermore, banks must disclose accurate exchange rates to investors, consumers, and regulators as per regulatory requirements. Serious fines, punishments, and harm to one's reputation would ensue from not doing so. Thus, although the images may provide interesting reading material on the internet, the truth is much more boring. The likelihood of its being the result of digital manipulation or misunderstanding is high. The ease with which these pictures can become viral shows how rumors can influence public opinion before any evidence of their veracity has been established. In a world when financial disinformation may spread more quickly than official news, being vigilant and skeptical is more important than ever. I have diligently spent the better part of the day investigating these allegations, consulting a number of resources, and even consulting with certain banking contacts. I set out to find out where these pictures were coming from, and if any respectable banks were really advertising such outrageous rates. It became evident that the claimed figures were totally at odds with reality after reviewing a variety of sources, such as industry insiders, financial news outlets, and public exchange rate data. No such massive devaluation had been authorized or carried out by the State Bank of Vietnam, the Iraqi Central Bank, or significant U.S. financial institutions, according to professional sources. The mainstream financial media would cover the massive coordination required to achieve such a currency revaluation extensively before any real rate modification made it to individual banking screens. This would happen after numerous banks, international organizations, and governments had worked together on the plan. It is widely believed by experts that these graphics are crafted as clickbait to captivate people involved in speculative currencies. Although it's reasonable to hope for a windfall, it's crucial to differentiate between hope and reality. People could lose money if they don't do their homework and end up acting on false information or making bad investment choices. In order to safeguard assets and make educated judgments, it is not only wise, but absolutely necessary, to verify financial data from reputable outlets. The disputed photos purport to show secret bank rate systems that place the Iraqi dinar at 530 USD and the Vietnamese dong at 395 USD. We need to dissect the present exchange rates and the enormous magnitude of the purported profits to comprehend why these figures are improbable. At the moment, $1 is worth around 1310 Iraqi dinars. The value of 1 dinar is thus lower than a tenth of a US cent. An increase of over 690,000% would be shown by a leap to 530 dinar per unit, a meteoric ascent unparalleled in the history of contemporary currency markets. In a similar vein, $1 is equivalent to about 24,000 Vietnamese dong. A dong is thus equivalent to a tiny fraction of a cent. An exchange rate of $3.95 per dong would represent an increase of more than 94,000%, an amount that cannot be achieved under current economic circumstances. Such rises would necessitate a radical restructuring of the world's monetary institutions, involving the redenomination of currencies, the approval of international banks, and unprecedented actions by central banks. To yet, there has been no solid proof that any of these procedures have begun. These figures are theoretically and economically impossible, but they may excite speculative investors. To discern these rumors for what they are, sensationalized content, investors need to be knowledgeable with the mechanics of currency pricing, historical trends, and underlying exchange rates. Rumor has it that Iraq needs to execute a huge, tightly controlled financial maneuver if it wants to get its dinar revalued anywhere near $5.30. This would entail redenomination, commonly called lopping zeros, which would remove trillions of dinars from circulation, thereby reducing its money supply. Such actions have been performed in the past by countries dealing with hyperinflation, such as Turkey in 2005, in an effort to restore faith in their currency. The official pricing and accounting systems in such countries deleted a significant number of zeros and replaced older banknotes with newer ones. Iraq, however, has not made any pronouncements suggesting intentions for such a massive redenomination. Instead, Iraq's central bank has been concentrating on maintaining a stable exchange rate, keeping the dinar value relative to the US dollar stable, and protecting the Iraqi economy from inflationary and deflationary shocks. As a result, a sudden increase to $5.30 per dinar seems highly improbable. Any abrupt and large revaluation without proper planning may have disastrous monetary effects because currency markets are based on confidence, government policies, and economic fundamentals. The notion of an unexpected big surge is more of a myth than a reality because international financial institutions keep a careful eye on these kinds of developments and would never let uncoordinated swings of this magnitude to happen quietly. The situation in Vietnam is slightly different. The dong, Vietnam's currency, has appreciated gradually over time, indicating the country's moderate economic growth and well-managed monetary policy, in contrast to Iraq. To safeguard its export-driven economy from unexpected shocks that would interrupt investment or trade flows, the Vietnamese government has persistently prioritized modest, incremental changes. The potential loss of competitiveness, exports, and domestic employment in export-related industries as a result of rapid appreciation has been voiced by officials on multiple occasions. That is why it would be completely out of the ordinary in counter to decades of regulated monetary policy to suddenly increase the dong rate to $3.95. To keep the dong's value stable and prevent extreme fluctuations, the Vietnamese State Bank keeps a careful eye on the foreign exchange market and steps in when needed. With a steadily improving currency, consumers, companies, and foreign investors can confidently plan and make decisions. Not to mention that it keeps the economy from collapsing due to speculative revaluations. Put simply, the dong has had some gradual growth over the years, but it has never come close to the dramatic pace indicated in the pictures. A common thread runs through the histories of the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong. Unconventional assertions necessitate unconventional proof. None of these things can happen given the present monetary policy and the past. Professionals in the field of foreign exchange have previously identified various discrepancies in the screenshots that have been shared online. To start, the screen's layout is different from what is typical of the bank's internal systems. The layout does not adhere to typical banking regulations, and there are missing decimal places. Experts in foreign exchange, Forex, know that major banks like Wells Fargo and Chase are very compliant with regulations, and would never show employees or the public rates that are speculative or not backed by evidence. Any disparity would prompt a quick internal assessment since internal banking software is built for precision, openness, and auditability. Pictures that have gone viral also don't have legitimate timestamps, supporting paperwork or bank-verified authenticity. Major financial agencies like Bloomberg, Reuters, or CNBC would immediately publish on any genuine rate movements of this magnitude. In addition to public announcements made by central banks and authorities, it is quite likely that these screenshots are either made up, misunderstood, or are part of a marketing scheme targeting speculative investors, because they have not been covered by any mainstream media outlets. Rather than disseminate accurate financial news, similar disinformation operations abound on social media and online forums. Anyone in possession of or contemplating the acquisition of speculative currencies must be alert to these red flags. It is critical to take a step back and think calmly whether you are currently holding Iraqi dinars or Vietnamese dong. You risk losing money or making a poor financial judgment if you act quickly based on unsubstantiated assertions you see online. Only trustworthy financial news channels, seasoned experts, and official government or central bank sources should be relied upon for accurate information. Currency speculation is a high-risk endeavor, expecting for an unexpected reassessment that might never come. Due to the complicated interplay of monetary policy, trade balances, inflation rates, political stability, and global market dynamics, professional financial advisors seldom advocate such tactics when advising their clients on currency valuations. But, despite having access to real-time market data, even the most seasoned Forex traders can't always anticipate when the market will undergo sudden and unexpected changes. Risking financial stability and causing needless anxiety by basing decisions on rumors or screenshots that have gone viral is not a good idea. Anyone investing in foreign currency must exercise patience, verify facts through reliable sources, and comprehend the larger economic situation. Investors can safeguard their short-term assets and long-term financial objectives by making more reasonable, educated judgments based on high-quality information rather than on spectacular claims. Let's give in to the thought experiment just this once. Just pretend that the Iraqi dinar really did surge to 530 per unit. Millionaires would emerge out of thin air for those who bought millions of dinars for a few hundred. The situation is significantly more complicated and would have far-reaching effects in reality, despite how attractive this scenario sounds. People would probably be in a mad dash to cash in their newly valuable assets, and banks would struggle to keep up. A complete breakdown of international investment, trade agreements and currencies would have a devastating effect on the world's financial system. In the event of a complete economic meltdown, governments would almost definitely implement capital controls, levies or exchange restrictions as a matter of urgency. Similarly, ordinary people could suffer as a result of inflationary pressures, increased inequality, and domestic economic instability caused by the abrupt accumulation of enormous wealth. The goal of central banks should be to keep the economy from crashing, thus they usually handle big currency adjustments slowly to keep things from getting out of hand. Careful, regulated processes govern global finance. Large-scale, uncontrolled revaluation does not. While these kinds of hypotheticals are fun to dream about, they highlight the need for investors to depend on reliable, verifiable information instead of speculation when making financial decisions. Rumors regarding Iraqi dinars and Vietnamese dongs, for example, tend to circulate more widely in online communities, social media groups and specialist messaging systems. These groups have the power to instill a feeling of immediacy and enthusiasm, leading members to anticipate the arrival of monumental achievements. Unfortunately, con artists have figured out how to capitalize on the human need for rapid financial gain. They may advertise upcoming currency revaluations through newsletters, exclusive information, or memberships that claim to have access to secret information. These offerings may sound good at first glance, but they're really just trying to make money off of people's hopes and dreams instead of giving them sound financial advice. The way genuine financial advisors work is much different. Instead of focusing on get-rich-quick schemes, they stress the need of diversification, long-term planning, and risk management. For anyone navigating the world of speculative investments, understanding this difference is paramount. When people hear things that aren't true or are overstated, they could make rash financial decisions without doing their homework, which could cost them money. Unverified rumors can reach thousands of individuals within hours due to the viral nature of internet information, which further increases the probability that some investors move prematurely. Investors in foreign currencies should approach these communities with suspicion, seek professional advice, and verify information with reliable sources. Countries like Vietnam and Iraq are more likely to see their currencies appreciate gradually over time rather than experiencing sudden, massive surges. The two countries' currencies may gradually strengthen as a result of policies put in place to stabilize their economies, improve fiscal discipline, and control inflation. Iraqis may come to trust the dinar more as the country's government stabilizes, new infrastructure is built, and cautious monetary policies are implemented. In a similar vein, Vietnam has permitted the dong to appreciate in moderate increments, reflecting economic progress and a long-term goal of being export competitive. Rather than thousands of percent increases, little percentage rises every year are more probable. Realistic investors might expect modest gains from long-term increases in productivity, inflation management, foreign trade, and infrastructure investment, which can progressively boost the value of the currency. They are not windfalls, but rather benefits that accumulate over years or decades. Insight into this fact equips investors to distinguish between empty promises and realistic goals, enabling them to craft long-term, risk-averse investment plans that are in harmony with the economy's underlying principles. When thinking about any kind of exposure to foreign money, it is crucial to be patient and knowledgeable. There are a number of more moderate ways for people who want to profit from global currency patterns, but don't want to take huge speculative risks. Exchange-traded funds, ETF, are a kind of professionally managed investment vehicle that follows a basket of currencies from developed or developing economies around the world. Investors can gain from economic growth in a diversified and regulated way through emerging market bond funds, which provide interest returns on top of the potential advantages from gradual currency appreciation. Lastly, you can diversify your risk across different industries and assets by purchasing stocks or investing in local firms in the countries you're interested in. This will provide you indirect exposure to the local economy and currency. Safer than gambling on unexpected revaluations, each of these options prioritizes diversification, expert management, and regulated exposure. Rather than putting their money on unproven rumors, screenshots, or internet speculation, investors can take part in global economic trends and possible currency gains through structured and regulated investment instruments. Achieving meaningful and sustainable gains in foreign currency investment requires patience, research, and a focus on fundamentals over the long run. The conclusion is clear after carefully considering all of the facts. False photos purporting to depict Iraqi dinar values of $5.30 or Vietnamese dong values of $3.95 have been circulated. The figures don't add up when compared to real market and economic statistics. Any rate in the single or double dollar range is entirely unrealistic, given that the Iraqi dinar is now trading at around 1 through 310 IQD per USD, and the Vietnamese dong is near 24,000 VND per USD. Not a single major U.S. bank, the State Bank of Vietnam, or the Central Bank of Iraq has issued a statement or correspondence confirming these sudden shifts. Financial authorities and reputable news organizations like Bloomberg, Reuters, and CNBC have also not confirmed anything. Such a massive incident would certainly receive media attention in the financial markets. It is highly likely that the photographs that are making the rounds on the internet are either completely false or heavily edited. Furthermore, they show that screenshots that become popular on forums or social media do not constitute credible sources of financial news. In order to prevent speculative hysteria, misleading rumors, or unsafe investment decisions, it is vital to understand the importance of confirming statements through established trusted sources. You may get a good idea of what the market is doing by keeping up with central bank updates, official economic reports, and credible financial news sites. Prior to taking any move, investors should consistently confirm claims. Whether it's investing in emerging markets, holding foreign currency, or exchange-traded funds. Because of the complexity of the variables that impact currency markets, including monetary policy, inflation, international commerce, and political developments, immense, unexpected changes occur very seldom. Investors can learn to spot reasonable patterns, little shifts, and chances for strategic involvement in the foreign currency or international markets, if they stay updated through reputable media. If you want to learn more about international banking and macroeconomics and less about frauds, deceptive content, and speculative hype, this is the way to go. Responsible currency investment ideas are based on reasonable expectations, patience, and thorough study. Share this analysis with others who might have been puzzled or misled by similar claims, if it helped you make sense of the current rumors. To combat the pervasive impact of viral yet misleading content, and to encourage responsible currency speculation, it is important to disseminate correct, fact-checked information. In order to be informed without being fed needless hype, subscribe to channels or platforms that focus on evidence-based reporting instead of sensationalized claims. On top of that, you may find specialized websites that gather information about currencies like the Iraqi dinar from reputable sources, and assemble verifiable news, updates, and discussion. Investors can learn from past trends, keep tabs on current events, and get structured, risk-free views from seasoned analysts by following such platforms. But no website can replace expert financial guidance. You may avoid dangerous conjecture, have well-informed conversations, and share only verifiable news by joining fact-based communities. Furthermore, it emphasizes the importance of presenting exceptional evidence when making extraordinary assertions, such as abrupt and significant currency rises, and that the foreign exchange markets necessitate a great deal of skepticism, research, and patience. As we come to a close, the main point is very evident. Investors should rely on reliable facts instead of online speculation, since massive overnight currency revaluations like the ones seen in the leaked photographs are highly improbable. Investors can engage responsibly without putting their financial stability at risk by concentrating on little, steady gains in the value of their currency, small, steady improvements to the economy, and small, steady gains in their exposure to global markets. Rather than wasting time on speculation or following fads, one would be better off educating themselves on the actual processes underlying currency valuation, central bank policies, and global market dynamics. Your strategy will stay rational, strategic, and sustainable if you continue to educate yourself, follow reputable financial news, and verify every claim before taking action. By maintaining composure and a level head, you may seize real chances while avoiding the traps set by hype and false information.